Something's really shifted in a war between Russia and Ukraine. It's no longer just about front lines and territory anymore. It's become this relentless, escalating battle over energy. So today, we're going to break down how these attacks on power plants and oil refineries are truly changing the course of the conflict and, believe me, sending shockwaves all around the world.
So, here's how we'll tackle it. We'll start right there on the ground, looking at Russia's so-called chaos strategy and Ukraine's incredibly bold response. Then, we're going to zoom out to see the economic ripple effects that are hitting other nations. And finally, we'll explore the high-stakes diplomatic chess game that's now playing out on the world stage.
Okay, first up, the immediate crisis. Russia has really ramped up its aerial attacks, and the strategy behind them? Well, it's becoming painfully clear. And what President Zelensky says here is just so powerful because he's spelling it out. This isn't just about military advantage. No, it's a deliberate strategy to create chaos for everyday people, to try and break their morale by attacking the very systems that keep their country up and running. And you have to remember, this isn't some new tactic. We've seen this playbook before. For several winters now, Russia has systematically gone after Ukraine's power grid, leaving millions of people without heat or electricity in the freezing cold. What we're witnessing now is just a brutal escalation of that same recurring strategy. So, what does this actually look like on the ground? Well, let's take a look at the real-world cost. In just one recent overnight attack on Odessa, 5 people were injured, the port infrastructure was hit, and just like that, 30,000 people lost their power. This isn't abstract. This is immediate, tangible damage being inflicted on people's lives and livelihoods. But this is not a one-way street. Ukraine isn't just sitting back and defending. They are actively retaliating, striking back at Russia's own energy assets, and that's creating a very dangerous tit-for-tat escalation. And you can see this, well, it's almost like a mirror image, a clear symmetry to this energy war. While Russia is busy targeting Ukraine's power grid and its railways, Ukraine is striking at the very heart of Russia's economy, its gas plants and its oil infrastructure. Both sides are trying to cripple the other's ability to fund and to fight this war. So the big question is, are these Ukrainian strikes actually having an effect? Well, according to President Zelensky, they absolutely are. He claims these attacks have wiped out a whopping 20% of Russia's gasoline supply, which is forcing Moscow to actually start looking for imports. And this isn't just talk, not by a long shot. Ukraine is hitting targets deep inside Russian territory. We're talking about strikes on a power station in Belgrade, a major gas plant in Volgograd. These actions show a growing capability to inflict serious, direct economic pain on Russia. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. This energy war, it's not just contained to the battlefield. The economic consequences are starting to send these huge ripples across international borders, and it's pulling other countries right into the middle of it. A perfect example of this is what's happening right now in Serbia. The U.S. has sanctioned NIS, which is the country's only oil refinery, and they've done it because it's majority owned by the Russian state energy giant Gazprom Neft. So all of a sudden, a war happening hundreds of miles away is directly hitting the Serbian economy. And this quote from Serbia's president, man, it just reveals how powerless other countries can feel in this situation. He's basically saying that when the U.S. imposes sanctions, the entire global financial system has to listen. It is just way too risky for any international bank to get caught in that crossfire. So what does this actually mean for, say, the average person in Serbia? Well, with NIS under sanction, it means foreign payment cards. Well, they're expected to just stop working at their gas stations. You'll need cash or a domestic card. It's a direct, tangible consequence of the war's economic fallout. And all of this, as you can imagine, feeds into the final piece of the puzzle, the global diplomatic frontline. This is where countries are trying to navigate this incredibly complex landscape of alliances, economic interests, and intense political pressure. So, when you look at the world stage, you see countries are taking wildly different positions. On one end, you've got North Korea offering its full-throated support from Moscow. On the other, you have the United States, arming Ukraine and leading the sanctions effort. And then you have major players, like India, who are caught in a much more complicated position. And India's role here is really crucial to understand. On one hand, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is talking about the need for a just and lasting peace. But on the other hand, India remains a major buyer of Russian oil, which, let's be frank, directly helps fund Moscow's war effort. It is a complex balancing act that really highlights the difficult choices countries are facing right now. So what's next for Ukraine? Well, they're sending top officials to the U.S. for some absolutely critical talks. And their agenda, you could say their shopping list, is crystal clear. more air defense systems to protect their cities, help rebuilding their shattered energy grid, tougher sanctions on Russia, and a plan to use frozen Russian assets to help pay for it all.
So, all of this really leaves us with one critical question. As both sides continue to hammer each other's energy infrastructure, the lights are flickering not just in Ukraine, but really across the global economy. As another winter approaches, the question isn't just about who will win this war, but who is going to be left out in the cold.